Hey yo, what's up? Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, whatever you get your podcast needs from. It's your boy back again on this beautiful Wednesday night. It is 7 o'clock. Yes, it is. It is a special edition of Sports Talk with KC. You know it's football season, so we're now doing Titletown presents X and O Sports Game Day Preview, where we preview NFL and college football games for the weekend. We got a hot schedule for you guys tonight. Tonight we're going to talk about some NCAA football, some NFL football, some fantasy football. I just had my draft for my Titletown League of Champions. So we're going to talk about a little bit of that. We're going to talk about the new AP poll that just came out. A lot of people moved around, had some people struggle, so they dropped. We had people that some big losses like Utah versus Florida, so they fell. They dropped a lot. So we're gonna get into a lot of it. But before we get started, please like, share, and subscribe uh, to the Titletown TV YouTube channel. Please follow the Sports Talk with KC YouTube channel as well, where you can find this video and then many Sports Talk with KC previous episodes from this season and last season as well. But tonight is all about the game day preview. We're going to talk about, like I said before, the AP poll. So let's go ahead and get into that. The new top 25 for this week. Let me pull it back up. All right. At number one, we have Bama coming off a 55-0 victory over Utah State. Um, was a great game from Bama, of course, winning 55-0 defense. Laid a goose egg, man. Big zero on the side for Utah State. Bryce Young played great as always. Got a glimpse at what our new running back, Jamar Gibbs can do. Bryce Young was 18 for 28, 195 yards, 5 touchdowns, and was only sacked one time. That is great. Of course, he was pressured. We had some moments where he stepped up in the pocket, was able to avoid being taken down or being touched at all. Was able to deliver passes. I remember a pass early in the game to freshman Kobe Prentice, where he dodged a couple defenders in the pocket, stepped up, was able to make a throw for a first down. She's like Bryce. More and more he plays, the more comfortable he gets, the more poised he gets, and that's why he's reigning defending Heisman Trophy. But he wasn't the only quarterback of the night that played pretty well for Alabama tonight. Jalen Murray's 8 for 10 for 76 yards, one touchdown, and one of those incompletion was an interception. Um, Late game interception. You can say it was his fault. You can say the receiver fault. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. He played great. He was able to win the game. Bryce Young was also able to go over 100 yards. One of the only times he's ever done that since coming to Bama. Five rushes, 100 yards, and one touchdown. Jamar Gibbs nearly had a 100-yard game, but he rushed 9 times for 96 yards, 10.3 um, per carry. We got to Jason McKellen, who was 5 for 23. Rondell Williams was 13 for 15. Receivers wise, Trey Holden had 5 receptions for 7 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kobe Prentice, the guy I just mentioned earlier, had 5 receptions for 60 yards. His first ever college football game. True freshman starter for the Alabama Crimson Tide. So great game for him. Newcomer Jermaine Burton had 5 catches for 35 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jason McKellen doing it again out of the backfield, 2 catches, both for touchdowns for 25 yards. Uh, Great overall game for the offense. Defense, of course, played shutout, literally shutout defense, allowed no points. It seemed like they didn't get past the the halfway point midfield only a couple times. So great defense by us. Next week, well, this week, this Saturday, we have Texas, who's been talking a lot of noise this off season, talking about how much improved they are, how they're gonna shock the world. The Big 12 is probably going to take a step back with Oklahoma. losing the quarterback and the head coach and all that. Two quarterbacks to be exact. Um, Oklahoma State should be one of the top teams again this year. Baylor as well. But for the most part, the Big 12 might be taking a step back um, uh, this season and might not be exist here pretty soon with their teams spreading all over the place. Some going to the Big Ten, some talking to the Pac-12 is one of them. Obviously, Texas, Oklahoma wants to come to SEC, so we'll see how that goes. That's enough about. It's probably enough about Alabama. Um, so let's go into the second team in the new AP poll. We have Georgia coming off a 49-10 victory over number 11 Oregon. Number 11 Oregon loses by 39 points to the defending champs. Man, surprised but not surprised. That great defense was good last year. Could be even better this year. Um, the young guys that were there last year um, really affected this game. Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, guys like that, the leaders of that defense, led the way for Georgia. But on offense, Stetson Bennett, like I've been telling people all day and it seems like all week, um, he, I'm not gonna say he's Tom Brady. I'm just saying he played Tom Brady as he was very accurate with the ball, put it where it needed to be. Um, and he doesn't have a whole lot of just great weapons. Of course, Jermaine Burton transferred to Bama, so one of his guys are gone. George Pickens, former Hoover native, is now playing for the Steelers. Um, yeah, man, he had to rely on three tight ends. Brock Byers, of course, Ed Gilbert, probably the biggest name out of the three, and this new kid Washington who had two catches for 33 yards with a 25-yard long for his longest pass reception. Brock Byers, guy I mentioned earlier, might be the top tight end coming into this year's draft outside of Michael Myers. Two catches for 38 yards. Running back Kenny McIntosh had nine catches for 117 yards. Um, wide receiver Mac Conkey, five receptions for 73 yards, one touchdown. Um, Stetson Bennett, like I mentioned before, was very accurate with the ball. He was 25 of 31, 368 yards and two touchdowns. Backup Beck was 5 for 6, 71 yards and one touchdown. So both quarterbacks played pretty well. Only what seven incompletions between the two of them. So man, uh, great game for Georgia. I did say 49-10. I'm so sorry, 49-3. They traveled all the way from Eugene, Oregon to Athens, Georgia to lose 49-3 to put up a freaking field goal. Come on, Oregon, you gotta play better than that, man. Y'all the number 11 ranked team in the nation. Defense was supposed to be great, but y'all allowed 49 points to Georgia, man, who missing James Cook and Jameer White at running back, who's missing Jermaine Burton and George Pickens at receiver. Come on now, man. I know they're the defending champ. I know you might have been a little bit intimidated, but you got to play better than that, Oregon, especially for what y'all was ranked at that point. Number three is still Ohio State, who's chasing behind Georgia and Bama. I meant to go into Georgia next week game. I'm so sorry, guys. Not doing my job. They're playing Sanford out of Birmingham. Of course, I don't expect very much from Sanford. Should be one of those easy games, kind of similar to what Bama just did with Utah State, or maybe what Georgia did with Oregon. Man, I hope Sanford put up more than 3 points. That's my hope for the game. I have Georgia winning, and as well, I've had Bama beating Texas next week as well. Number three, Ohio State. Number three, Ohio State played Notre Dame and beat them 21-10 to remain in the number three spot. Quarterback C.J. Stroud was 24 of 34, 223 yards, two touchdowns, only one sack. Pretty chill game for him. Um, I expected so much more from both teams. Honestly, I expected Ohio State to light it up. Maybe that's a credit to the defense of Notre Dame. Um, but I really expected Ohio State to put up a lot of points, especially with the weapons they. Even though they lost a lot of weapons going from last season, Chris Olave, you get Wilson, your Trey Simons, guys like that. My bad. Matt Teague. I'm sorry. Um, from last year's team, um, who made the playoffs. But even with the people that got back, Jackson, Abaj, Abajaba, I can't remember how to say his name exactly. Marvin Harrison Jr., guys like that. Trey Henderson, a guy who had a great game as well. 15 rushes for 91 yards. Um, Marvin Harrison Jr., 5 catches, 56 yards, was targeted 11 times. Um, Let me get the correct saying for the other guy's name. The other receiver, he went over 100 yards as well. Ohio. Um, Akima Esbuka, sophomore, had 9 catches for 90 yards, 1 touchdown. Um, didn't see much of Jackson Smith. Only had 2 catches for 3 yards. Maybe he bounced back next game, which they are playing against. I got my notes right here. Um, oh, they have Arkansas State, which, like I mentioned before, should be one of the games kind of like the Sanford Georgia game for next week as well. But I do pose a question for you guys. Um, do Ohio State ever jump over Bama or Georgia? We do have, of course, they have a game coming up later this season against current number four, Michigan. Um, Current number four, Michigan. So there's a possibility there. Um, of course, Bama has a window to where they're on the road. They're playing against some tough opponents. During the season, could they possibly slip up and lose one there, and they make the Ohio State make the jump to number two then? But if let me know if you guys ever think they're gonna the Ohio State Buckeyes ever make the jump over Bama or Georgia in the number one or number two spot, and if so, when? Um, yeah, they play Michigan November 26th. But leading up to the game, they have a pretty clear path. Of course, they have Wisconsin September 24th and Michigan State October 8th. All right, on to number four. I got mentioned before. Michigan defeated Colorado State 51-7. They have Hawaii next week. Um, Michigan being number four. It's really crazy to me because um, you never would think a team with two quarterbacks who can play week in and week out could be as high as number four, could be one of those the top teams, but it's working for them. Uh, we'll see who they ultimately chooses to be that steady hand under center. Uh, Cade McEnroe probably looked the best this weekend. Played the most, probably played the most as well. He was 9 for 18, 136 yards, one touchdown. And then quarterback McCarthy was 4 for 4, 30 yards, no touchdowns. Um, yeah, man, in a pretty one-sided game against Colorado. Probably wasn't the best showing for their quarterback, but if they could continue to ride the defense, continue to make plays uh, when needed on offense, they could surprise some people, man. They could definitely um, beat Ohio State and beat the number 3 team, number 2 team when it's all said and done, going to the playoffs. Um, all right, that's number 4. Number 5 is Clemson. Falls from number 4, despite winning against Georgia Tech 41-10. They had Fairman this weekend. Should be another one of those easy games for one of the top teams in the nation. How do you fix Clemson? Is the question. I know fix is probably not the word they to possibly use, but to I guess improve Clemson because out of the top 4 or 5 teams in the nation, they seem like they played the worst. Um, Let Georgia Georgia Tech hang around for a little bit until they exploded second half. But yeah, man, they seem uncertain with their quarterback. Right as of right now, they're going to keep him as their starter, DJ um, Ogale. Um, didn't have his greatest game. That defense is stellar. Of course, with Brian Breeze and the rest of that Clemson defense, they should be able to ride them. But when it counts, we've seen from the Bama championship games, Georgia last season, when it's needed, quarterback and their offense is definitely needed to put points on the board. Uh, Second and 26. Two touchdown pass to Devontae Smith last season with Stetson Bennett, who wasn't a proven quarterback at the time, but was able to take down powerhouse Alabama. So quarterback position is definitely needed. But like I mentioned before, quarterback didn't play so well. Who was 19 for 32, 210 yards, only one touchdown against a team who they shouldn't. I know it's the ACC rival, um, but that's only conference only rivalry for the most part. It should have been a one-sided matchup. Um, didn't get very much run game. Shipley had 10 carries for 42 yards and 2 touchdowns. Um, Receivers, same thing. Collins had 3 receptions for 54 yards and a touchdown. Um, yeah, man, pretty average numbers for supposed to be one of the better teams in the nation. Was able to allow 10 points to Georgia. Jeff Sims was 23 or 36, 164 yards, a touchdown, one interception. Was able to get a little done on the ground, 13 carries, 41 yards. Um, yeah, man, it just wasn't a great game for Georgia. I mean, Georgia, Clemson. So we'll see how they bounce back next week against Fairman. Should be a much better showing. Um, Now at this point, I'm just gonna read through the rest of the top 25. Um, all right, Texas A&M number 6, Oklahoma number 7, jumped from number 9 after some guys fall out. Notre Dame is number 8, Baylor's number 9 now. USC cracks the top 10. Uh, Another question for you guys: how high can they go? And is a playoff berth in reach? Of course, we have. Of course, we have later in the season we have Ohio State, Michigan to play each other the 3-4 matchup. Currently, one of those guys have to fall once they whoever loses that matchup later in the season, November 26th, rival weekend. But with that being said, could USC be in position to jump one of those two or anyone else in that top 4 for that playoff spot? Because typically we don't see a Pac-12 team in it, but USC has made the moves at coaching with Lincoln Riley, with future Heisman Trophy winner, it seems like, and Caleb Williams, former quarterback of Oklahoma, Jordan Addison, Travis Dye, running back, the former running back at Oregon. Um, yeah, made some great moves. Got some future NFL players to come over from different schools and lead that team. A lot of high expectations, man. I really like the USC team. What they've done this offseason to get to where they are now. Um, this weekend they won 6-6 to 14. Caleb Williams was 19 for 22. Very accurate. 249 yards, two touchdowns on the sack one time. Also had 68 yards on the ground. Jordan Addison had a not that many yards on not that many yards total receiving, but he had five catches, 54 yards. But he had two touchdowns. Travis Dye five receptions, little over five receptions, five rushes for 20 yards. So not very much going on there, man. Just spread the ball around, able to make plays, let their defense do what it does. It's a much worse team. Um, Rice nearly had a running back go over 100 yards. Montgomery had six rushes for 99 yards. That may be the downfall of that whole defense. Maybe the game for USC was the defense nearly allowing a 100-yard rusher, allowed part around 150 yards total. 150 yards total for the game between all the running backs. Um, well, yeah, man. Tell me how y'all feel about USC, man. Are they for real, or it's too early to tell, or you think they're pretenders? Let me know that as well. Back to the top 25. All right. Number 11, Oklahoma State guy I mentioned, a team I mentioned earlier, that could make some noise in the Big 12, who's probably be falling off this season. Florida goes from unranked to number 12 after beating number 7 Utah this past weekend. Utah right behind them at 13. Michigan State, who we probably need to keep a watch on. They do play Michigan and Ohio State, so could be a sleeper this season. Miami, a team who should be much improved now that they have a consistent good quarterback and Nick Van Hype. Um, a new coach and Mario Cristobal from Oregon. Um, yeah, man, had a good offseason as well, as far as picking up recruits and getting some transfers in and getting the guys that aren't that great out. So let's definitely keep an eye on Miami. Clemson isn't playing that great. Wasn't playing great last week. So maybe Miami makes a jump and try to win the ACC. Arkansas at 16, Pittsburgh at 17, 18. We have North Carolina State. Drake May, guy we mentioned on last week's show, had a good showing as well. He was a Bama recruit. Um, Wisconsin, number 19. Florida travel. I mean Florida. Yeah, Kentucky travels to Florida. They're number 20 this weekend. BYU, Ole Miss, 21-22. Wake Forest, 23. Tennessee, maybe the sneaky favorite in the SEC East, outside of Georgia and Florida. Uh, Houston is rounds out the top 25. That's the top 25 for college football this season. Um, Anybody y'all think was snub for the top 25? Was your favorite team not in the top 25? We might be right outside of it. Um, and oh yeah, let's talk about the news of the 12-team playoff we got coming in the few. Is it 2026? Oh man, uh, As of right now, if where things stand, if we did go to 12-team playoff this season, Bama would be playing Florida. A match that we saw last year come down to the wire, um, literally inches away. So definitely, definitely would love to see that matchup. Georgia will be playing Oklahoma State. Um, could be a shootout, but then again, we know Georgia's defense. Stetson Bennett looks much improved. So I say that. Quarterback Sanders for Oklahoma State looks like one of the better quarterbacks who's not being talked about right now. Um, Number three, Ohio State will play USC. Whoo! USC versus Ohio State. Could y'all imagine that matchup? Could y'all imagine the ratings, the ticket sales? Oh my God! Like this would be Bama playing Georgia or Bama playing I don't know. I'm playing Georgia. Cause they're in the same conference. Bama playing Clemson in the regular season. Like that would be crazy. Or Bama playing Ohio State. It would be crazy. Um, Michigan would play Baylor. Battle of two teams that may or may not be the best team in their conferences at the very moment, but definitely could make a jump over the people who's ahead of them. Um, Clemson, Notre Dame, a matchup that we've came close to seeing, but this season would see if there was the playoff would start today in the new format. Uh, Clemson defense would help them take that because Notre Dame offense didn't play as great last week against Ohio State. And I honestly think Clemson defense is better than Ohio State defense. But we will see later on in the season how things go. But it's just my honest opinion. And then last but not least, Texas A&M versus Oklahoma, a former Big 12 rivalry. It's not the Red River rivalry between Oklahoma and Texas, but Texas A&M versus Oklahoma just bring back the memories, man, of the old Big 12. Um, but yeah, man, a matchup we could see uh, years from now in the SEC. Now that Oklahoma's coming over, along with Texas in 2025, 2026 as well. But yeah, man, that was the top 25, um, the top 12 teams that will be in the playoff uh, this season. If with the playoff were to start today, will start today. Let me know your favorite matchups for those top 12. Like I said before, Bama, Florida, 112, 211 matchup, Georgia, Oklahoma State, Ohio State, 3, number 10 matchup against USC, number 4, Michigan versus number 9, Baylor, number number 8, Notre Dame versus Michigan, number Bama, Florida, Georgia, Ohio State, Oklahoma State, Ohio State, USC, Michigan, Baylor, Clemson, Notre Dame, Texas A&M, Oklahoma. What will be your favorite matchup? Please let me know in the comment section. Let's move on to some fantasy football, man. Just a quick overview of my two fantasy teams, starting with the Titletown League of Champions, which I had number one overall pick, which I hate having the overall first overall pick. Might have been my first, I think it might have been my first time, but I can only imagine going into the draft how it would be, and it's exactly how I thought it would be. It's crap, especially in the snake draft. I know you get the back-to-back picks on the back end, but I like to be 4 or 5, fourth, fifth, and lower. I don't necessarily get a high pick. I got a high pick, but then again, it's not really that high to where I have to wait a long time. It seems like for me to pick again. But then again, you do have the like I said, I mentioned before the two back to back picks, which really got a lot of people nervous. Man, I was hitting back to back picks, and so one of those picks will always be someone that the person behind me or after them or whatever would be their next pick, and they got in the nerves, man. The group chat was booming, funny, man. They was talking so much crap about how they hate that I got their pick. But yeah, man, let's take a quick look at my team. Starting quarterback, I have a quarterback who made a Super Bowl appearance last season. One of the youngest to do it, Joe Burrow, former Heisman Trophy winner, national champion at LSU. Um, would have been rookie of the year. Probably would have been rookie of the year if he didn't take ACL his rookie season, but sophomore season was stellar. Got reunited with Jamar Chase, a guy I wanted to draft, but I drafted my next guy. I'm about to tell you guys about um, Jonathan Taylor, number one. The value was too great, man. Should be the top back this season as well. If Derrick Henry doesn't make bounce back like most of us expect him to, um, one of my favorite players in the whole league. I know I'm not a Wisconsin fan, but I just been following him since college. Jonathan Taylor, one of those backs competing with the likes of Najee Harris and Derrick Henry for the top, and Jonathan Jacobs for the top running back spot in the whole nation. Nick Chubb, another SEC back um who who's doing a thing in the NFL right now out of Georgia. Nick Chubb um has a favorable matchup. Some of my favorite matchup with the Panthers, who are who hosts his former quarterback Baker Mayfield. Now receivers, I have Mike Evans. That's my number one. Big tall guy for Tom Brady, one of the better receivers he's ever had. Darnell Mooney. Y'all, a lot of y'all probably have not talked about or know about, but this guy is for real. The steady hand for Justin Fields, one of his favorite targets, should be great for him this season. I drafted him later on. Zach Ertz, a guy I mistakenly drafted, but now that I know what the things I know today, I am okay with that. George Kittle isn't looking too great with his hamstring, and we know how hamstrings go. They aggravate you whenever they feel like it. It seems like you can be fine one day, and then days and practices and games later, it got you down again for multiple weeks. So we'll see what happens with George Kittle. We'll keep an eye on him because I was going to draft him at the moment. Uh, and Zach Ertz ended up slipping up being a draft. I slipped up and drafted him, but no, I'm okay with that. Should get targeted early in the season with DeAndre Hopkins missing the first 6 games due to suspension. Him, AJ Green, Rondell Moore, a guy I drafted. I think it was my last pick of the fantasy draft. Should get a lot of receptions and targets with D Hop being out for the first few games. Um, I also have Mike Evans, despite him being um, coming off an injury. Chris Godwin, I have Mike Evans, running mate. And then for my defense, I have Ravens defense should be much improved. We see them making plays all preseason long. They drafted Kyle Hamilton to be that safety of the future. To go along with Marcus Peters and Williams in their secondary, and Marlon Humphreys, their Pro Bowl cornerback, as well. Patrick Quinn, another young linebacker who gets some more experience this season as well. Possible Calais Campbell return. Um, yeah, man, that defense should be good as always. One of the better teams. And then a kicker have Matt Prater, um, who is facing the Chiefs this week. Could be a shootout type of game, and so maybe Prater gets to kick a lot of extra points and maybe some field goals. Maybe one to win the game. We'll see. Um, back quarterback, I have Derek Carr. Um, guy who very solid, one of the most consistent quarterbacks. Was not the reason why the Raiders was losing in the past and barely made the playoffs last season. I know the talks of Mariota possibly should get a shot at being a starter. It was talks about them possibly drafting a quarterback, all kind of stuff, man. But I think Derek Carr, now that he has his old receiver and Devontae Adams from college, um, should be um, should be ready to go. this season. Darren Waller, of course, a guy that was drafted by Charlie Porter. Right before I was able to get to him, still working on a trade to get him. Um, Antonio Gibson, I only drafted him because I know it's gonna take a minute for Brian Robinson to bounce back from um, his I don't know how to put this his bullet wounds. Um, it's gonna take a little minute for him to get back right. Once he is fully ready to go, I'm sure he's gonna compete again because he was ready to be the starter. But Antonio Gibson, 1,000 yard rusher for the last couple of seasons, uh, hopefully returns to form after having a bad preseason. But Ron Rivera has came out and said he trusts him and that he is okay with him being the starter until Robinson gets back. Tyler Boyd, after drafting Joe Burrow, I had to get one of his receivers to make sure I got those points as well. Michael Gallup, who's currently out right now, but is on my bench, should be a good number two to CD Lamb once he comes back. Rusty Moister, speedy back out of Miami Dolphins, should be one of the top backs in that running back committee down in Miami with Miles Gaskin and company. Noah Fant, back up tight end out of Seattle, who was traded from Denver, traded from Denver to Seattle in the Russell Wilson trade. And then last but not least, like I mentioned before, Rondell Moore, who should be one of the top flexes this season. Has some versatility, can rush the ball, can catch the ball. Obviously, being a receiver. But yeah, man, should be able to get some targets, like I mentioned before, with DeAndre Hopkins being out with suspension. Tell me how y'all like my fantasy team, man. I'm gonna go through it one more time for you guys, just to start a unit. But Joe Burrow at quarterback, Jonathan Taylor, Nick Chubb at running back, Mike Evans, Darnell Mooney at receiver, Zach Ertz at tight end, flex, uh, Chris Godwin, defense, Ravens defense, and Matt Prater at kicker. That was my starting unit for my fantasy team. For my fantasy team, the Titletown Black Warriors. Let's look at my other team. Um, in the Backcrackers League. Justin Herbert is my starting quarterback, young quarterback really like a lot. Should have a lot of success this season with the weapons he have, the Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, guys like that. Um, yeah, man. Third season should be even better. Look even better from his rookie season. Last season, of course, with the improvements they made on the uh, offensive line and the defense, getting Khalil Mack, getting J.C. Jackson. What is their Pro Bowl tackle name they got last season? Um, he was able to come in and be one of the top rookies, and just all the top offensive one of the top offensive tackles and all of football. Um, J.K. Dobbins is starting running back. This team is more receiver heavy, so don't come at me in the comments about who I got at running back right now. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm going receiver heavy with this team, which is a little different from my other team. J.K. Dobbins at running back, Elijah Mitchell, guy who might I mentioned a lot, but we'll get a lot of carries. Trust me, this season in that 49ers offense. Um, Speaking of 49ers, I have Debo Samuels, guy who could take some receptions, some rushes away from Elijah Mitchell, but can do some things as a receiver that really gets that team going. The best receiver in all of football last season. Cooper Cup is also on my team. T.J. Hawkinson, one of the better young tight ends in the NFL. C.D. Lamb, who gets the first time opportunity to be the number one receiver with Amari Cooper now in Cleveland. Chargers, the defense, like I mentioned before, made so many improvements with Khalil Mack and J.C. Jackson coming over. Another year with Darwin James in that secondary, who just got paid. Congratulations, a couple weeks ago. Um, they already got Sunday Samuel Jr., so their defense should be rocking, man. Tyler Bass is my kicker for this week. Brandon Cooks, like I said, this team is very receiver heavy. Brandon Cooks is on the bench. One of the top 10, 15 receivers in the whole league is on the bench currently. But he does play for Texas, so things could go either way. Doesn't have a proven quarterback this year. Davis Mills is getting there. He's okay. Um, Aaron Rodgers is my backup quarterback. Oh my god, I should really back him in my starter, but we'll see about that. Russell Wilson, another quarterback. Pat Fryermuth and my tight end. Robert Woods, former Rams receiver. Rashad Penny, and then I accidentally drafted Kirk Cousins. So if anybody in that backcracker league wants a quarterback, let me know. Need a running back, let me know. I mean, if you need a quarterback, let me know. I'm looking for some running backs to fill out my roster. But yeah, man, those are my two fantasy teams. Currently, I have another one in a public league I joined um, last week just to get a little practice in. But yeah, man, those are my fantasy teams, man. Let's get into some actual NFL news and games for this week. First game of the week, we have the Bills versus the Rams, the defending champs. This could be our Super Bowl game. Could be a Super Bowl preview this season. Both teams are much improved. I know it's kind of crazy saying the Super Bowl champs are much improved, but they're improved. I know they lost Von Miller, but he only played half the season for them, so they know how to play without him. They added Bob Wagner, a former NFC West division rival, still one of the top linebackers in the nation, despite um, aging a little bit. You know, he's been in the league over 10 years now. Uh, Career may or not be widened now, but should be great for the Rams. They still have Leonard Ford coming off the edge, so the loss of Von Miller does is a little light now. They have the greatest defender of all of football and possibly ever in Aaron Donald holding down in the middle, who was voted the number two overall player in the league. Um, Offensively, despite losing OBJ to injury as well as free agency, we have Cooper. They have Cooper Cup, the number one receiver in all of football, statistically last season, 100 plus catches, 1,800 yards, 18 touchdowns. Cooper went crazy last season. Cam Akers and Darnell Henderson uh, should be even better as a running back committee. They did add Allen Robinson, one of my favorite receivers. A lot of people don't know a lot about him. Have slipped on a lot. Had a down year last season playing with the Bears and their rookie Justin Fields. So he's playing with a more mature quarterback, a much better team, a team he could possibly win a Super Bowl with this season. As for the Bills, Josh Allen, of course, that quarterback, one of the better young quarterbacks, is definitely in the elite company with the Tom Brady's, your Pat Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert. You know the guys. You know the team, the five top end guys, 5 or 10 guys that gonna get the job done. Mister Big dudes out there. So um, at running back, of course, they have. Devin Singletary, Zach Moss, guys like that. So in the committee, running back by committee, and then they have Stephon Diggs, one of the best receivers in all of football. Just resigned um, Dawson Knox to a big contract, so they clearly believe in him at tight end, despite signing OJ Howard, who they also cut. So maybe them cutting OJ opens up things and give more confidence to Knox, who honestly I thought OJ was preparing to take his job, man. I still believe in OJ. He's still very athletic. He's still the big guy he was coming out of college. Should get an opportunity here soon. I'm not really sure what happened in Buffalo. Maybe wasn't the right fit. Maybe uh, the play style wasn't the right fit for him. I'm not sure. That defense, like I mentioned before, uh, did pick up Von Miller in the offseason. Of course, Ed Oliver is holding down in the middle for them as well. Tre'Davious White at cornerback. Um, Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer is safeties. We know how they get down. Jordan Poyer will play this week. Will play tomorrow. So that's a plus for them. Tremaine Edmonds at linebacker. So both teams are very, very talented. Maybe the most talented teams, two teams of all. Um, the one weakness for both teams is probably offensive line. Uh, Bills have made some moves, shuffled some things around. Hopefully, they get the offensive line right tomorrow. And then as for the Rams, they did lose Andrew Whitworth to retirement, former Rams and Bengals offensive tackle. Another game, top game for the week. We have AFC West matchup between the Raiders and the Chargers. Two games I mentioned before with my fantasy teams and how they play. But yeah, man, Derek Carr and Devontae Adams are back together, former college teammates. Um, the Raiders are much improved on offense and defense with some moves they made this offseason. They did end up cutting former Bama running back Kenyon Drake, who now signed with who he just signed with. Jesus, I just had it on the tip of my with the Ravens. So he could they could play some fantasy implications on my fantasy running back Jacob J.K. Dobbins. Um, as for the Chargers, like I said before, they have Herbert, Eckler, those receivers, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. The defense should be a very close game. Oh, I forgot to mention Rams. I have them winning this game, and for the Raiders Chargers game, they have the Chargers winning. Um, could be a possible AFC Championship game preview. Uh, a battle, a different game that could decide the AFC West. Of course, we did have the Chiefs who's playing the Cardinals. This and this week we'll get into it in a couple seconds, but definitely could see this being the game that really decides the AFC West. I know it's the first game of the season, but just looking the season going forward, a home game for the Chargers if they can go ahead and get this one, and then whenever they do travel to Las Vegas, they have that momentum going into it. They have their number. Um, yeah, man, I just think the Chargers are just better team right now. I like what the Raiders did. I like they may be a year or two away from being a serious Super Bowl contender, but I think what the Chargers have going on right now with their young quarterback and those all that talent they have on offense and defense, you can't go wrong. Um, my third top game of the week, I have the Steelers versus the Bengals, which I have the Bengals winning, but it should be a hard fought AFC North matchup for both teams. Uh, could possibly have fantasy, some playoff implications on it with them being in the same division, but I think the Bengals will be similar to last season. One of the playoff contenders. It really improved the offensive line, which was their weakness last season. Year two for Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, year three, two young receivers, maybe the best duo in all of the in all of the league. We'll see how Cooper Cup and Allen Robinson play, and also Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, guys like that play in the season. But for most part, I think T. Higgins and Jamar Chase could be a top five, if not the top uh, receiving duo of all of football. Steelers now, don't sleep on them. They have some receivers as well. Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson, who's a fantasy freak, and then Najee Harris in the backfield, who, as long as he has the ball in his hand, he's gonna make plays, man. Little uncertainty at quarterback. Mr. Trubisky looks like the starter. People might be calling for Kenny Pickett if he isn't playing well. Of course, he's a hometown kid. Grew up in Pittsburgh. Went to Pittsburgh. Um, with the first round pick for the Steelers this past season. Um, Next game, I have the Cardinals versus the Chiefs. I have the Chiefs winning this game simply because no DeAndre Hopkins. Um, the Chiefs are the top the top team in my opinion, the top three team in all of the AFC. Looking like it's looking like the conference to beat. Um, they of course they lost Tyreek Hill in the Miami Dolphins trade, but they will be like I said before, much improved. They like Pat Mahomes came out today said they really don't have a top receiver. So it seems like he's going to spread the ball around. I do expect him to rely on Travis Kelsey early on in the season because he does trust him. But he does have a new receiver in MBS and Scott Moore, who's looking to replace Tyreek Hill. Hopefully, they can get um, Markel Hartman to finally step up and make that jump. That first round pick um, expectation that was placed upon him a couple years ago. And then we have the Bucks versus the Cowboys. Um, Super Bowl winner from a couple years ago, the Bucks and Tom Brady. Tom Brady's back for his maybe his final season. Maybe he plays again next year. But as of right now, I think he's gonna take it year by year, day by day. Um, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are back for Tom Brady. They're looking like um, th- another top duo in the league as well. Gronkowski retired, but they did have Cameron Braid. They did lose OJ Howard, but he's back on the free agent market, so maybe they pick him up as well. Defense should be great again for the Cowboys. Their weakness for them is probably their offensive line. They have some receivers and C.D. Lamb and Mike Gallup, who isn't playing this week, but it's still pretty good as well. Um, Zeke and Tony Pollard, a great one-two punch in the backfield. Dalton shows at tight end. Um, the C.D. Lamb proved to be the right decision at number one receiver. We know about that defense. Trayvon Diggs is going to have to stop giving up so many big plays, but we know we can do as a ball hawking safety, not safety, cornerback. One of the better front sevens with Michael Parsons leading the way for them. Our next game we have the Broncos versus the Seattle Seahawks. Um, Russell Wilson returning back to Seattle, the team that traded him away after years of being with them, took them to two Super Bowls, winning one. Of course, we know about the infamous uh, Super Bowl against the Patriots, where instead of handing the ball off to Marshawn Lynch on the 1 yard line, they decided to throw a pass and was picked off by former UWA cornerback Malcolm Butler. But yeah, man, that's besides the point. First game against his old team should be very heated and personal for him and the Seattle Seahawks as well. Um, I expect the Broncos to win. Seattle's kind of in the rebuilding phase. Haven't made the full blown tank just yet. They still have guys like Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf and Rashawn Penny and Chris Carson just thought about that. We got some players on defense, Quandre Diggs. So haven't made the full tank yet. Oh yeah, and Jamal Adams hasn't made a full blown tank yet, but probably see that soon. Maybe DK finds another home uh, mid season before the trade deadline. Same with Tyler Lockett. Um, I can see someone like the Packers trading for him and uh, finally giving Aaron Rodgers a number one receiver and investing in that receiving core. Um, Next game we have the Browns versus the Panthers. Another quarterback going against his old team. Baker Mayfield is visiting, but he's not visiting. He'll be playing against the Cleveland Browns. Could be very personal and hated game for the both of those teams and quarterback as well. Took the spot from last year quarterback for the Carolina Panthers, Sam Darnold, who was in the same draft as him. Larry picked two picks apart. So uh, this could be a quarterback competition later on in the season, but it seemed like they thrusted um, Baker Mayfield into the starting job, and so or maybe it just be for this game. Maybe it was intentionally to have him start against the Browns. Um, Speaking of the Browns and their quarterback situation, they're currently without Deshaun Watson for obvious reasons. First 12 games of the season, so they'll have Jacoby Brissett with Josh Dobbs backing him up after releasing Josh Rosen. Um, Josh Dobbs earned the backup job. We'll still play this preseason. This is a tough game to call. Um, I'm gonna go with the Browns simply because of their rushing game and their defense. Should be able to be for should be enough to carry the Browns to victory. We have a NFC South rivalry matchup. We have the New Orleans Saints versus the Atlanta Falcons. I like the Saints in this game. Um, Jameis Winston is back. Um, Must improved receiving core. Chris Olave was drafted first round of this year's draft to come over. Jarvis Landry's coming over from the Cleveland Browns. Michael Thomas is looking healthy. I think that combination of receivers is the right combination. You have uh, underneath you have Michael Thomas getting the slants and getting the first down position receiver. We have guys who can go deep and be that top route runner for you, and Chris Olave, and then working the slot and guy who could make all the receptions, all the catches. Jarvis Landry. We know they have in the backfield with AK-41 and um, Mark Ingram. Um, the way James Winston was playing last season, he played really well. If he can follow the way he was playing uh, and continue to build on his relationship with his receivers and everything he had going on last season, should be much improved. Maybe could be a sleeper in the playoffs next season. Falcons seem like they're in a rebuilding phase. Traded away Matt Ryan. Um, of course, they lost Julio as well a couple seasons ago. Now, so it seems like they're going to a full blown rebuild. Drafted Desmond Ritter to be the quarterback of the future, or maybe just a backup um, for Marcus Mariota. Um, they still have Cordell Patterson at running back. Calvin Ridley no longer with the team this season. They drafted uh, Drake London to be that take over a number one spot for them. Just a lot of turmoil in Atlanta, so I'm going to go with the Saints. One of our last games, we have the Eagles versus the Lions. A game I think going to be a lot closer than people expect. I think people are expecting the Detroit Lions to just bend over and just take the butt whipping that the Eagles should maybe handle the tour. But we seen what the Eagles did. The Lions did last season against one of the better teams last year in general across the whole schedule. They hung in tight with some of the better teams, and so it might shock some people and knock off the Eagles. But I don't see that. Um, Jalen Hurts has another season under center. They invested in him and that building around him. Now that they have AJ Brown from the Titans, Devontae Smith another year on his belt. Miles Sanders is back as well. Um, the defense keep adding pieces. That it seems like every week it almost. Um, so yeah, man, I have the Eagles winning this game, a close game, and then last but not least, I have the Vikings versus the Packers. Um, Another in division rivalry. Vikings are very slept on this season. I think Vikings are going to surprise a lot of people. I think Kirk Cousins going to have an awesome season. Justin Jefferson look like a top five receiver. Um, Packers don't have a receiver that maybe even be in the top 32. Uh, wouldn't even be a starting receiver on a lot of teams. The receiving unit they have. But that's okay. They have Aaron Rodgers back under him, and the defense looking great as well. Run through punch with the AJs, Aaron Jones, and AJ Dillon. at running back. But yeah, man, I have the Vikings winning this game. Simply because I think they have a more talented offense, and this game could definitely be a shootout. And so I think the Vikings will ultimately pull it out. If you guys like the games, the top games as we talked about today, um, anything we've talked about today in general, please comment in the comment section um, which game that you think was going to be the best game of the week, possible prediction, and scores as well. This has been Sports Talk with KC. Um, X and O Sports Game Day Preview Edition, week number 2. We back. I'll be back again with week number 3 next Wednesday at 7 o'clock. Possibly with Xavier Houston Sr. We'll see. We were without him tonight, but it's okay. I think I did a pretty good job of going through the different games from last week and talking about the top 25 of college as well as the top games from the NFL season. I'll see you guys next week. I love y'all. Peace out.